Hello.
Part of me knew right what I was saying. I'm like, I feel like Allie's gonna say it first,
I
but then I
always,
wanted
I
to say
always,
it
I,
like
I hate dead air, like I hate like pauses. So I'm always, it's the ADHD in me is like immediately jumps in and says, hello.
me too. So I'm the same way. And it's like I know it's also like my anxiety, and I can be uncomfortable sometimes. So I'm that person that'll keep like, let's keep the conversation flowing. Keep it going, you guys. Yay! I'm excited about today's podcast.
Yes,
I know we probably say that about a lot of our podcasts, but
all of them.
when we're giving tips that people can put into motion now and have as action, I don't know, I like showing up for something and getting action. And so having,
Yes.
of course, that would also be what my number 4 activator likes to get the things going right now. But that's today's podcast, you guys, is AK and I have actionable tips that you can do now to take care of your mental health, because we're trying to protect while we're doing things. But before we hop into it, I am going to give a huge hello and welcome to a new member of our Patreon community. Welcome to Lindsay Sparks. Thank
Welcome.
you for joining us. We saw you pop up in the Discord group. So just know that group is there for you to hop into. And for anybody that's members at that level on Patreon, there's 3 of us behind the scenes monitoring Discord, there to answer questions and say hello and point you in the right direction. So remember that and come find us. But
But yes, I am excited as well about this episode. 5 actionable tips to help protect your mental health. Because I feel like we do talk a lot about mental health, and it's quite often like social media is terrible for your mental health. And it's like, okay, that's great.
yeah.
Now what? What do we do?
What do I do with this?
Information. You can't just leave the conversation with that.
Well, do you want to start with the first one, or should I?
You start with the first one, because I feel like this speaks more to your personality than mine. I am not an organized person.
And it's something too, like, as long as I've been teaching social media, so the majority, like, I've got clients around the world, but definitely like the New Zealand authors would have heard me constantly when I like screamed out, like, be consistent, do some planning, always try to have something going. But also I'm a realist about it, because being busy myself, I know that we can't all the time. So there is a bit of forgiveness in this. And I'm also saying this out loud for myself, because I will sometimes, I can be such an organized person that this does work for me. But there are times when I need to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and I kind of feel like I need to be a bad girl and just be like, screw it all. I'm not about like week, because I hate social. I just don't want to. But even now I'm starting to dip my toe back in after a nice, like, healthy break for me of inconsistently posting, but being there for about, a little over a month. And I'm getting excited about it because I took that break. I knew what the break was for this time, and I gave myself a lot of downtime. So looking at that planning and scheduling content doesn't feel as big as it did 5 weeks ago. 5 weeks ago, going to do it, I could not. And I saw that and went, there's something not working. Step away for a bit. But right now, today, I actually have spent some time. I know what my social media schedule is actually here with my show notes. I need to put it in a better place. But I've got cover reveals and typo posts and different things. And I'm also about to prep for hype mode coming up in the next few weeks. So it's very important to plan when you've got these things coming up, so that I've got sales and promotions that I've made commitments to as well. So I don't want anything to fall through the cracks. So I'm going over my calendar, and that makes me breathe easy. It doesn't for everybody. But the other thing is, you can look at this type of actionable tip and make it yours. You can either take the time to sit down and schedule a bunch of posts in one go. Again, Meta now has where you have a creator studio and you can schedule posts for Facebook and Instagram for free and pretty easily. There are certain schedulers, I believe you can do it with TikTok. A lot of times I plan content, but I keep the copy in my notes so I can copy paste it over on my own. both for TikTok and for Instagram, but it just depends on how organized you want to be. But that's one of those big ones. I think that if you just plan a little bit ahead, even
Mhm.
if you take 20 minutes one day a week to jot down, this is what I would like to do. This is the skeleton of what I hope to accomplish in my social
That's more
media.
me. Like, I know some people are very organized with their social posts. They have, like a very scheduled and organized plan of what they're going to be doing. But for me, I usually have like certain times during the week that I'll record a bunch of things that I have sitting ready to go that I can post later. But I have like a rough sense of each week the certain things that I know I want to make content about. And I might not even write them down, but I know like, oh, this thing's coming up, this is happening, I want to talk about this is a trending sound I want to find a way to use, and we'll make content throughout the week for that and then post it. But like, I think for me, I tend to more do it intuitively now, where I have like a sense of like, okay, I need to batch up some content, and it kind of comes without like me writing down the plan, but it doesn't mean that I don't have a plan. It's just more happening in my head,
Yeah.
than other people need to have it like at 9 and 2, I will post these things.
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
gotten to the point now where it's like I know what kind of content I want to hit in the week. I want to do something that's like funny and relatable. I want to do something about my books. I want to do something about community building. And so that just kind of happens naturally now. But I do think it is good to have that in your head, because I think we all get to a point where we're just tired and we're not thinking about what we want to be posting, and all of a sudden we have nothing to post and we're like, what do what do I do? Yeah.
That's when the unfortunate post happened. You rush
Yeah.
something out and you do something wrong that you shouldn't. But yeah,
And
it's
it really
definitely
does affect your mental health too. If when you
totally.
have a game plan and you go in kind of like knowing what you want to accomplish, it's much easier to do it than when you're just kind of aimlessly posting.
Yeah. And even just having that loose, like that intuitive, like when you know, like that's the thing is
Yeah, yeah.
you know when you know, and you can kind of, because there are times that I have to be very planned. Other times I can be intuitive and be like, I don't need to worry about that. But other times when I see the busy coming. But yeah, I think just taking that little bit of time to, and again, that planning and scheduling is what you want it to look like. That's the
Mhm.
it's your I've worked with some people that when I said take that 20 minutes, they've just taken that 20 minutes to sit down and they scroll through social media. I'm like, well, that's
Mhm.
fine too. If that's your planning,
Yeah.
then you're
And
obviously
a lot
taking
of time
things in a
it
certain
is like
way.
you're just like saving drafts of all these sounds and going like, oh,
Yeah.
I could do something with this, or I could make that reminds me I should talk about my
Yeah.
newsletter.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, it can be that. And then other times it's just like with a piece of paper or your phone app going like, okay, have I talked about me this week? Have I talked about my books this week? So
Exactly.
so it just depends on you. Yeah.
Number
Right. Tip
two.
number 2. Uh this is an important one, I think, and it is to have boundaries with your phone. Have
So
boundaries
good.
specifically with the social media apps on your phone. So turn off your notifications. Like I don't even know how people like I don't have notifications on any of my social media apps. I couldn't imagine seeing like just even seeing the little red numbers or
Oh,
things on the corner of the apps would
horrible.
just give me hives. Like
What
I
it's like
yeah,
you
I don't
can't.
want to know how many messages I have. I don't like I will open it when I'm ready to open it, and then I need to get the notifications to 0. Like I can't handle having just like all the red numbers still there. So like I deal with it all then when I'm ready, and then once I exit out, it's like this, you know, um Schrodinger's box of
You started
like
fresh.
are there notifications? I don't know because it doesn't exist as long as it's closed.
I love it. It's not there. I love
It's
having
not there.
notifications
Has
off.
has that person replied to that message? Nobody will know because we don't
It
see any notifications.
I've had my notifications off since 2015
Oh
when
my
my
God.
business got busy, because when you're working in social media and PR with people, I did not want everything going off content. And I'm so glad I did that, because it really has made, there is that panic that you get when because I would be with clients and they pick up their phone and I would just see, Instagram or something going off, and I would start to get panicky
I
seeing
can't
their,
imagine.
like,
Yeah.
how are you doing this? Like, you can't, like, this, I just,
Every
it's too
time
much
someone leaves a
stimulation.
comment, you get a notification. Oh my gosh. How
Forget it.
I don't know how I would be able to focus on anything if my phone was telling me every time somebody commented on one of my posts or videos. Like that would just
Because you
no.
can go in, like you just said, you go in, dip as you can, and clear out, have a look, see what's there, but go in on your terms. Don't go in on their terms.
Exactly. And then you have scheduled times, like, like, oh, I have like kind of a coffee break from writing at like
Yeah.
9:30. And usually like I like to drink my coffee and reply to all my messages and kind of clear out the like notifications on all my socials. And then I go back to writing at like 10:30. And then in like the evening, I do that again. And so it's just having that kind of like blissful ignorance of like, things aren't happening. Now, I think it's harder when you have a video that's like going viral at the time.
Yeah.
Um,
You've got to
but
jump
I
on
do
things
feel
like
like
that
a
for
watched
engagement.
video doesn't get views. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? If you're just staring at the thing, watching, wait,
exactly.
hoping the
Walk
numbers will go
away.
up,
Walk
it's
away.
like just turn, like exit out of that, walk away, keep going. But yeah, I think having those set, it's the same with the scheduling your posts and content, scheduling your time using those apps, I think is very helpful too.
Definitely. Definitely
So
turning it
saying
off.
like from 9 to 10 and from 6 to 7 or whenever, these are the times that I use these and I don't check them outside of that, um, is so valuable because then, like I've committed to doing these things. I'm committed to marketing and making the most of my socials. But when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah, when I'm done, I can walk away, because you know
Yeah.
what? You can't, like, nothing's going to happen. It's kind of like that rule. Like, what good things happen at 2 a.m.? Not many
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
you guys.
exactly.
Not
Or
many
even
things.
just even set if you are like me and really need the nudge, you can like also set a reminder too, or like
Yeah.
set an alarm to go off and be like, okay, that's it. You're done. Go
Yep.
to a less, addictive platform
Yeah,
or like
exactly.
go watch something on Netflix or go, cook dinner, go hang out doing something else. Like now is not your time. But I mean, I allot myself a lot of time for TikTok, but I really only use all of the other socials to reply to comments and then I'm immediately out again. I don't scroll on any of them because they have zero appeal to me. Like it's not the place I go to like interact with people. It's just the place I go to post and interact in the comment section of my content.
Yeah.
Whereas TikTok, I like to go farm for content
Yeah.
there, so that I do make sure to schedule time for me to just scroll. Yeah.
Love that. Well,
But
that's your
yeah,
second tip.
boundaries, notifications off,
So
set a time if you need. Yes.
So a third one, tip number 3, it's your reminder. This is the reminder that social media is curated for the watcher, for the person that's looking at it.
Mhm. Yeah.
You're on Instagram
Oh,
looking at perfect things. That's what you're
just
gonna
number
get.
3 is know what social media is doing to you.
Yes.
Be aware
Understand
of
it.
it.
Facebook,
If
like Twitter is there to get you fired up. Facebook is
yeah.
there to keep you on because they want you to hang out, because they want to serve you ads. Instagram wants to do the same thing, but they're going to show you the content you've been looking at.
Mhm.
TikTok's going to keep you on by serving you the for you, what they think you want to see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by making sure you see in all of your friends' videos, including this old one from 10 months ago. We're going to pull
Yeah.
this one out and throw at
Or
you.
this funny thing or this scary thing or this thing that like provokes your sense of outrage,
Yes.
like it's doing it on purpose to keep you there. Whatever it's showing you, it thinks it will create some sort of response in you to make you feel like you need to stay there. And once you're aware of that, it's like it's a lot less powerful. The
Yes.
hold isn't as strong on you, it's kind of like
Take
the
the
whole
power
like
back.
if you look at a tiger, it's not gonna attack you, you know. Like it's this is the
Looking at
wildlife
you,
biologist,
Tiger.
obviously everybody knows.
I
But
love
yeah, stare it in the eyes.
it. No,
But it is. It's
don't
like
do
once
it.
you're aware of what these things are doing to you, it's easier. It's like in the same way that like when you have a day of like low views or low content, it's like it's doing this to try and create a response in you to create more content and more like things that will create people sticking around, like try harder, do more. It's
Yeah,
like there's always sense of like slightly lacking, slightly not feeling like you're on top of it, you're not doing it right, like that is intentional. And this varied reward schedule is designed to addict people in the same way that gambling is. Once you know that,
mm,
you're like, oh, this is like, it's very interesting. If I've spent less time on the app, the things on my For You page tend to be more hyperbolic,
yeah,
because like we're giving you the funniest, the most intense, or like the most dramatic, like we really want you to like come back,
come back.
we're
We
gonna
need you
get you
back
back.
here.
Yeah. So just like being aware of that, being aware that there are forces at play that aren't necessarily good or bad, but they are designed to keep you around and keep you hooked on what it's doing, not necessarily to the benefit of your mental health, is makes it
Exactly.
hugely less powerful when you're having a day where you're like, maybe I should post again because none of those videos got any
Yeah,
views.
no.
You could just
Don't
go,
do
oh,
it.
it's just one of those days, I'm just gonna walk away.
Yeah.
Like it's time to turn it off,
And that's the better attitude to have with it. It's just one of those days. Do your post, walk away, and just get to that feeling of freedom that you can dip in and out. But
don't
just
let it control you.
don't,
Yeah.
don't. You can feel it when it's happening. You will know. You can need to stop it.
And that leads in nicely to the fourth tip as well,
Yeah.
which is to actively counterbalance the time that you're using social media, whether you think you need it or not. And I think this is really important. Like, if
Mm.
we as authors are spending a lot of time on social media to market our books, sometimes every day, like for years, like every day of the week, uh, we need to have actions in place, even if we think our mental health is fine, we don't need them, we're not burnt out at all. Like having
Have it.
actionable things
Period.
that you're doing, whether it's going for a walk, talking to a friend, hanging out, watching a TV, like like cuddling your pet,
Yeah.
eating something that's good for your brain, like whatever it may be, standing in a sunbeam. That is one
Yeah.
of my favorites. Like very actively and intentionally doing those every day is going to help counterbalance the effect of things that you're doing to your brain, whether you intend to or not, by being on social media.
Completely, completely like that. Even like you just said, like just stepping away, going outside, making yourself a cup of tea or coffee or pouring a glass of water and just sitting down and being quiet.
Yeah, maybe
Like
it's
what
journaling,
journaling, yeah, being
singing.
still, meditating,
A
getting in your
big
garden.
one for me, one of the most active things I do to counterbalance being on social media is having a gratitude journal.
Hmm.
That and that really like feeds into the two of them, because I feel like social media always makes you feel like you're not good enough and you're lacking, and like that nothing good has ever happened to you in your career. And so having something that you're actively embracing and appreciating and celebrating good things that you can reflect back on is like hugely counterbalancing all of the weight of the negativity. And I feel like whether you feel that weight or not, it will catch up to you eventually, and like it's just designed to happen. And if you don't have any tools or resources in place that work for you and your brain and your mental health, it will pull you down. And so having that balance,
100%.
I feel like, is really important.
That's really that actually leads in perfectly too with the balance into our fifth actionable tip, which is to make sure that you have a community that is offline, that is your
Mm,
support group, something to fall into that
yes.
is not social media, that is not an online thing, whatever that is. It could be a local writing group, it could be friends, it could be your family, it's a neighbor, like whatever that looks like for
Yeah.
you. Just put it's stepping
A
away from
knitting
anything that
group or a
plugs.
sports team or yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know
what
and
do
and
something.
even if it is something that's like um sometimes I've lived in many countries. A lot of my friends don't, like you and I don't live in the same country anymore.
I
I
know.
know. So, but like,
Shush.
we catch up a lot on Marco Polo, which I wouldn't consider a social media,
No, it's like
like,
a
so like having one-on-one
connection.
video calls. We're not saying it has to be off technology, but like off social media, you
Yeah.
know, talking one-on-one with friends and having people, even if they're not in physical person, because I know not everybody has someone like either physically living with them or close by, but like reaching out and having people outside of social media is so incredibly important. And you look at all of the studies they've done on the radicalization of different groups of people and how they became more and more isolated from physical communities and more to online communities, and how quickly that can just like kind of warp a person's sense of self, and how quickly in the other way they shifted back by just like joining a choir or a sports team or
Yes.
finding a partner or having these different things like physical people in their lives, uh really changed their perception of self and self-worth and their depression and like a lot of other things, just by, it's fascinating how
Really is.
that can really like counterbalance for people. So having physical people in your life that, and even like bonus points if they're people that you're also talking about how social media affects you, you know.
Yes, that you can talk about it with them and you've got somebody that
Like,
you
I'm just
can
having
bounce
like
off of.
the other day I messaged a friend and just said I'm just having one of those days, and she's like, okay, right, let's do this, talk to me, let's go.
Yeah, what is
um
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So and I'm hoping, too, in our Discord community and things as well, that can be a place where people can talk about like, these are the things that
Yeah.
I'm feeling right now, you know.
And also too, I feel like telling people it's okay to talk about it because a lot of people I think are like, oh, it's not, oh, that people don't need to know that I'm having mental health issues around social media.
Right.
Yeah, but that's how like things stem from. I mean, that's we're adults looking at it. Imagine with kids. Like so let's all be like accountable and start having conversations about it. Because the more that we start talking about it, the more okay it is for everybody. So just
It's like
throw that
sometimes
hand up.
people leave comments on my videos that are awful, and I like am okay with it, and other times I'm not. And sometimes it's not the ones you think, it's just
Mm.
like, or like sometimes people will be like, they're being mean, but I think they're being funny. And then I realized like two comments later, oh, you were trying to be mean to me and I didn't realize it. I was like, you need
Oh.
like a buddy or a friend to like laugh about that with,
Yeah,
because then
exactly.
all of a sudden it doesn't feel so heavy. So yeah, and it's okay to feel that way. I think so many people are ashamed to be like, this really bothered me today or whatever. So having people in your life that you can talk to about that, and having like off social media people to connect with,
Yeah.
hugely important.
And those are your 5 actionable tips from us, you guys. So it's the plan and schedule content, turn off those notifications.
Know what
Don't
social media is doing to you.
remember that. That's always remember that one.
Counterbalance that effect, whether you think you need it or not, with good things and actionable steps for your own mental health, things that work for you.
Yeah, and get that
And
offline community.
yeah,
Get folks there so that way, you have us. And if you are a member of Patreon and in our Discord group, put your hand up. Put your hand up. Allie and I both do at times, and we happily and willingly talk about it because we are both dealing with social media constantly. And I always tell you where I'm at with social media. There is like no, no filter about it. So,
and a lot of times it's really lovely and joyful, and it's like some of
yeah.
my favorite interactions with people are
Yeah.
happening on social. So it's not all like dark and bad, but like it can be sometimes, and it's good to have a plan so that it doesn't affect you and pull you down. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, you guys, thanks for listening today and hope these
Yeah.
tips help you and you can add them to your author
Yeah,
tool.
let us know. Like, are there things that you do that you find helpful? What are some of your tips and tricks to help you with social media and mental health? Because we would love to hear them.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. We would love to know. And yeah, and we'll be back next week talking about imposter syndrome and social media.
Imposter
So just
syndrome.
now, you guys are going to want to come back for that one because it's going to be just flowing on from this conversation.
All right.
Take care, everybody.